Hi, I'm Mark Williams. I'm a freshman here at CI, and I decided to do my presentation about the rise and downfall of Tupac Shakur, also known as just Tupac himself. Tupac was most known for being a gangster rap artist who took over in the 90s, more specifically when his first album dropped in 1991. In this, he was known for speaking about vulgar issues about society and storytelling about his whole childhood. His influence of music was sampled behind a lot of jazz and soul songs that gave a refreshing and different sounding melody to a lot of different songs during the time. Tupac was special because he didn't use the cliche choice of gangster rap lyrics, mainly consisting of sex, money, or drugs. A lot of his lyrics consisted of aspirations and hope with loyalty for the future, which a lot of people followed. He also had a very specific attire. He mainly wore baggy jeans and oversized jerseys. And he also adopted a trademark look with a bandana tied in the front. One of the most interesting things about Tupac is his upbringing in childhood when he was younger. He was raised by his single mom, Afeni Shakur, and his family was also heavily affiliated in the Black Panther Party, which expressed a lot of black nationalism. Not only this, but his mother influenced his personality and different view to the world throughout his childhood. A lot of interesting things about his family was that his godparents actually killed a state trooper and a teacher. Not only this, but his stepfather later was wanted on the FBI's most wanted list. During this time, he was introduced with a lot of poverty, inequality, along with racism. From here, Tupac wanted to expand his voice with his first sense of music. He released his first album in 1991 called Tupacalypse Now, where a lot of lyrics talked about his childhood and the upbringing that he had that was a difficult time. Throughout this, he also addressed political issues that also brought the eyes of Vice President of the U.S., Dan Quayle, which he later actually heavily criticized the album for what was said and also the amount of attention that it grabbed from its viewers. Tupac also did a lot more than just make music. He actually starred in 2 movies, which was the first in 1992 called Juice, as he played a young degenerate man. The next was Poetic Justice a year later in 1993, and it showed a very courageous personality outside of music that no one has ever seen before. A lot of the characters that he played had to do with his childhood, and also it reflected on the personality that he had during his upbringing. Tupac's childhood had a lot of influences on his life, including the lyrics that he puts in his music. He wrote a lot about the negative situations that he noticed when he grew up, along with the political situations too. For example, Keep Your Head Up addressed a lot about abortions and sexism for females. Brenda's Got a Baby talks about teen pregnancy, and Changes talks about the overall racism. Characters in movies resembled also him as a child. Throughout his life, he did actually have a large taste of legal trouble. First, in 1991, after he dropped the first album, he filed a $10 million suit against the Oakland Police Department for beating him up after he was jaywalking. After this, in 1993, he beat another rapper with a baseball bat and served 10 days in prison. Not only this, but in 1995, he had a sexual assault charge that cost him 8 months in prison. This ultimately diminished his reputation and affected a lot about his music due to how much he talked about the societal issues during this phase. Following Tupac's time in prison, he came to a sudden death on September 13th of 1996. He was shot in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas at a casino, and after all these years, it's still a mystery behind the actual death of Tupac. Due to this, there's many conspiracies behind it, like the East versus West side of the Notorious B.I.G. thinking that he was the killer of Tupac, but it actually came out that Dwayne Davis, not too long ago, only a year ago, was possibly the killer of him. Not only this, but Suge Knight is the only last living witness from the shooting, and he refuses to testify. Throughout the time of his passing, he is known as one of the greatest and most influential rappers of all time because of his different approach that he brought to gangster rap. His lyrics and his relatable childhood brought many to be influenced by him and his activism to be a better person. Not only this, but branching out into different industries apart from just being a music artist. Tupac's signature style will always be having a heavy influence during the time of his death, along with the 2000 style as well. Overall, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you learn more about Tupac's short-lived story.